Hello everyone and welcome to today's video. Now you might be wondering, where are the M3 videos I said would be coming, and also the baby show videos? Well, they didn't happen, unfortunately, and that's because over the past week I've been really sick and I was much worse at the weekend. I did have the M3 and we did drive it into London and we did go to the baby show. But I didn't take my camera because I could barely concentrate on, moving, let alone walking around with my camera. And I also thought there are a lot of children there, there are a lot of pregnant mums there, and I didn't want to be that guy who has a camera who then has an awkward exchange with somebody because they don't want me to film. So I just didn't take it. A great day. Did buy a pushchair. I'll do some kind of reveal maybe when that arrives. I think it arrives early April. The M3 was good. It was much better than the last M3 I had. No technical issues, no weird sounds. Was able to push the car a bit more. I like the car, but I don't think it's the right car for me. I just felt a little disconnected from it. I didn't gel with it, basically. I tried to go through all the different modes in the car just to see the different dynamics of the car, but I don't know, none of them gelled with me. It sounded great, it looks great, but driving wise I just couldn't, I don't know, maybe it was a little bit of me hesitating, but I just couldn't get into the car. I just couldn't get into driving the car. And annoyingly, because I think a few weeks ago I searched for them on Instagram, for the past 2 weeks my Instagram Explore page has been showing me them repeatedly, so I'm kind of reminded on a daily basis how good they look on the road, but I don't know, they just weren't for me. Today is the first day I've been out since the weekend, and it's only Wednesday. I'm making it sound like I've been in here for a few weeks, but it feels that way. Well, I think whenever you're ill and you stay indoors, the time you spend indoors always feels longer. But today I just needed to get out because I was going crazy and I wanted to drive my car because I haven't driven it much since the weekend, obviously having the M3. So it was a good drive. I drove up to a place called Northampton, which is just under an hour from where we are. And I drove there because a Audi dealership, Audi Northampton, had an RS3 for sale. So I went and checked that out and test drove the car. Great test drive. We went on I think it was around a 20-minute test drive around predominantly country lanes, which was great for me because that's mostly what I do here. So it was good to see how the car felt in those sorts of roads. The familiarity of the car was nice, coming from my car going into the RS3. Obviously it's pretty much, the same car inside, but there are enough subtle differences for you to know you're in something a bit more beastly. So the Alcantara steering wheel, and then the sound of the car obviously lets you know that you're in a completely different animal. This particular car did have the dynamic package, so it has the sports exhaust, so all of the crackles and the pops etc. on the downshifts were really nice. It doesn't get boring downshifting in that car, and even when you're going up the gears it sounds, it's got a great grunt to it. It's got a great grunt. I enjoyed the car. No issues with the car whatsoever. It doesn't have the dynamic suspension, which was a little annoying because it felt very stiff, and considering that's a gripe for me with my S3, I don't want to continue to have that issue going forward, and this car's also on bigger wheels, so I felt like it was a lot more noticeable. But other than that, I kind of had an idea of what I anticipated, and it met all of the expectations that I had. But my issue with the car, well, it's not really with the car, it's with the finance of the car. So the car is £42,000. It's a 65 plate, which means it was registered in early 2016, I think. it had done just under 6,000 miles. You couldn't tell, there was no wear on the seats or chips in the paint that I could see. The wheels were all fine, etc. But regardless, it's done just under 6,000 miles. It's like 5,960 or something like that. And I did a finance quote, 4 years PCP based on 10,000 miles per year, was coming out at £707 per month with a £3,000 deposit from me. Now that sounds a lot to me. That is a lot of money to anybody per month. The reason I was a bit shocked by it is because I had a finance quote from BMW for an M3 competition package, which was brand new, and that was a £69,000 car, and that was also based on 10,000 years. 10,000 years? What the fuck? 10,000 miles per year, but that was 3 years, and it was 960. And you were paying off close to £40,000 of the car, so to me it just didn't quite, I don't know, that deal just seemed better, but it was on the wrong car, unfortunately. So it's something for me to think about. I did ask the Audi salesman if he thinks the numbers are going to be the same or similar when ordering a new RS3 instead, because of the differences in the APR rates for new cars versus used cars. And obviously, I think he tried to, scare me off. He told me that he thinks the new RS3s are going to come in at around the 45 mark base, but then obviously all of the extras you're going to want to add, they're going to take them up to like 55, 60. But I imagine they probably would be similar. So it's definitely something for me to think about. It's the cold, man. It's the illness. It's stopping me from being able to speak. On my way back home, I decided to stop in at my local Ford garage because I drive past it most days. And over the past like 3 or 4 weeks, they've had this grey Focus RS right outside the dealership. So I stopped in, inquired about the car. It's a demo car. It has done 125 miles, so nothing. A few good options ticked. It has the bucket seats, and the car is £32,000. Like, to me, that's crazy. £32,000, crazy. Now I am waiting on Ford to come back to me with some finance numbers on a brand new Focus RS, so one that hasn't yet been registered. I'm very intrigued as to what they might be, because I think if they are considerably cheaper, you're getting so much car for that amount of money, it's kind of hard to ignore, and it becomes a real consideration for me. But anyway, went for a test drive. Again, good route, around 25 minutes, country lanes, etc. Very surprised by the car, man. Honestly, so much fun to drive. You feel so engaged with the car. It's manual, so inevitably you're going to feel a bit more involved, but just the steering, you turn the wheel and it goes where you turn the wheel. And that might sound very obvious to some of you, but to car people, that's important. The steering was great. It felt so balanced, and the gears, when you're shifting up, you get a few crackles. When you're shifting down, you get the occasional crackle, but it's not as predictable as the RS3 was. Obviously, the Focus's sound is much more artificial, but it still sounds great for a 4-cylinder engine, and the power's definitely there. The positives outweigh the negatives in that car as far as I'm concerned. When I saw the bucket seats, I did think, oh Jesus, because I'd watched a few videos on the car, and a lot of the videos I'd watched, they all said a similar thing around the seating position being too high. For me, that wasn't so much of an issue. Maybe it's because I sit quite high in most cars anyway, being so tall. I don't know. That sounds a bit counterintuitive, but I think because I'm sat up high in a car, being up high in a car didn't really bother me. I don't know. It was noticeable. You're definitely up high, but I wouldn't say it's uncomfortable, and I don't think it's something you couldn't live with. And I also think it's a minor negative, as is the quality of the interior. Coming from an Audi into the Focus, it is immediately noticeable that there is a lot of plastic everywhere. But actually, are you buying a car for the quality of its interior? Not always, especially in a performance car. And it's not bad. I don't want to make it sound like it's bad and you're just making a huge sacrifice by not having a bit of leather on your bloody dashboard. It's a good looking interior. The sat-nav screen was, it might sound a bit snobby, but I was very surprised by how clear it was. Being that, I think they call it the Sony Sync system. It looked fucking great, man. And it was very easy to use. The drive modes were easy enough to change through. Bit of an odd selection on the drive mode front. You've got normal, sport, race mode and drift mode. That's it. There's no like in between. It's just all or nothing, which is fine. But yeah, very surprised by that car. And I think had it not been for the money side of things, it wouldn't be as big of a spanner in the works as it's become. So I'm definitely looking forward to doing a bit more research on those cars, and hopefully I'll be able to speak with Ford about maybe having the car for a few hours, just taking it for a proper drive to get to grips with it more. I don't know. I'll see what I can arrange. Maybe I'll try and record a video on it. But I think before I ramble any more about cars, this is the first, I guess, video of a series of videos where I'm going to try and find my new car. But I thank you all for watching, and I thank you for watching my previous video. And if you own an RS3 or if you own a Focus RS, please do leave a comment on what you like and dislike. What should I be prepared for, etc. What would you prefer? It'd be interesting to know. But until the next video, hopefully a bit later in the week when I'm feeling a bit more human, have a good week and stay safe. Peace.